What you see on the screen right now is by far the rarest pet in all of Grow a Garden. At least for now, that is. And it is the elusive Firefly pet. This creature is so unbelievably hard to obtain that almost no footage of it exists in-game at all. And in order to actually achieve it requires an insane amount of time, effort, precision, and most importantly, luck. I wouldn't be shocked if most of you didn't even know this pet existed, simply due to how rare it is. However, that's primarily why I'm making this video. Today, we'll be discussing everything you need to know about Grow a Garden's current rarest pet, including how you can obtain it, but let me just say, it's a challenge not for the faint of heart, as well as what it looks like and its general abilities. So, with all of that being said, let's begin. Alright, so what exactly is the Firefly? This is an extremely small pet, introduced in what I believe was the B update. But that information is completely unknown, so take it with a grain of salt. All I know is that it was leaked alongside other pets implemented in that update, such as the Disco Bee and Tarantula Hawk. So that's why I think it was added in the B update, but what separates it from all those other pets that I mentioned is that when the B update finally released, the Firefly was nowhere to be seen. Yes, dear viewers, we have got a secret pets on our hands here, and it would only take a little bit of time for players to figure out what this pet actually did. It was leaked by one of the Grow a Garden testers, the passive ability of the Firefly, information which was highly sought after at the time. And let me just say, this pet is probably one of the most powerful in the entire game, if you look at it in a certain way. Essentially, the Firefly works a lot like other pets in the game, where every so often they have the chance to apply a certain mutation onto one of your crops. Now, all sorts of pets have an ability like this. For example, dragonflies infamously apply the gold mutation, and disco bees, as their name suggests, apply the disco mutation. However, the Firefly applies the shocked mutation, which is probably one of the most powerful non-admin or non-limited mutations in the entire game. Every 79 seconds, there is a 3% chance for the Firefly to grant one of your crops the shocked mutation, an ability that's actually quicker to perform than the disco bees. So in that sense, this pet is actually pretty good. Additionally, the shocked mutation itself grants any crops affected by it a 100 times increase in their value, meaning this pet can be insanely useful at becoming rich within the game. Now, as you might have been able to tell, the introduction of this pet is a game changer for the shocked mutation, as previously that specific mutation could have only been obtained from thunderstorm events, which as you may know are quite rare. Now, there are other features within Grow a Garden that can allow you to maximize the amount of shocked crops you get during thunderstorms, such as lightning rods or shocked pets. But the prerequisite of having a thunderstorm active is always required for those other features to work. For the Firefly pet though, they can apply the shock mutation at any point of the game, making it very convenient to get it on your plants multiple times, as you don't need to go through the massive hurdle of actually waiting for a thunderstorm to occur. However, you know what else is also a massive hurdle? Actually obtaining the Firefly pet. Yeah, now it's time I finally reveal how you can obtain this thing, and trust me, it is a very difficult process. In order to get a Firefly, you need to join the Grow a Garden testing server, meaning you have to be a tester for the game. Now, as you may have guessed, actually becoming a permanent tester for this game is quite a difficult task. To my knowledge, there really isn't an open application process for players to become permanent testers. So if I had to guess, you may have to be handpicked by Jandal or other game admins in order to have the opportunity to become one. But even then, being a tester is a big responsibility. Given how often Grow a Garden updates, like every week, you often have to beta test new features very frequently. And that can take its toll, especially if you have other things to do in your life that require more time than playing Grow a Garden. Luckily though, there is another way for players like you and me to be testers much more easily, albeit it doesn't last very long. According to the higher-ups in the Grow Garden server, very rarely, I cannot stress enough how rare this is, public testing sessions can occur. And if you are fast enough to join a server, you can become a temporary game tester completely for free with little to no hassle. You just have to beat the thousands of other players trying to join the server alongside you. By doing this, you might just be able to get your hands on a Firefly, as based on the wiki, all you have to do is actually just join a testing server. It doesn't say anything about being a permanent game tester handpicked by the admins. However, even if you do become a temporary tester by beating all the other players to joining a test server, there is also another obstacle that may prevent you from obtaining this pet. And unfortunately, it completely nullifies any and all potential the Firefly has at being useful. Based on the wording of the Firefly's wiki page, it appears that unfortunately the pet as a whole just isn't actually in the main game at all, meaning it's only obtainable in the testing server, which only you and a couple other people can have access to. However, there may be a little hope that the Firefly could be implemented into the main game, acting as an official reward for all types of testers. If you take a quick look at the Grow Garden game files, you can find the Firefly just sitting there alongside every other pet. And given how it appears to be fully functional, it's entirely possible the Firefly could just be implemented in a future update, either as a tester exclusive item or something any and every player could obtain. After all, a bunch of other Grow Garden items were in a similar situation as the Firefly, where they originally were only available to testers but later became public. Some are shown on the screen right now, such as various different crops, some actually pretty good. So it's entirely possible the Firefly could branch out from the testing server into the main game. And if that does happen, it might just be one of the most powerful pets in the game. Its ability isn't even that broken, a ton of other pets are probably stronger than it, so I don't see any reason why this pet couldn't be added. So, with all of that being said, what is the Firefly? Well, it's Grow Garden's current rarest pet, being available to only game testers exclusively in the game's testing servers. The Firefly has the ability to apply the shocked mutation into crops every so often, even without the presence of a thunderstorm, allowing the mutation to be obtained basically whenever you want. Maybe someday it could be implemented into the main game. I mean, it is entirely possible, but as of now it rests quietly in the elusive testing servers, which harbor other yet-to-be-released features. Now, one more thing I'd like to mention is that the Firefly's position of rarest pet could definitely be overtaken by the Jandal Monkey, if it ever is going to be added, as that pet would only be given to one player in a giveaway. However, as of now, the Firefly is the most elusive in all of Grow Garden. Anyways, with all of that being said, let me know in the comments what you think of this pet, and thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.